Hello, my name is Dan Gambill, and I'm continuing my series documenting the progress of the Hydrologic Risk Forecaster, or HydroRF model. This is a forecasting model for flooding and infrastructure hazard and risk on military lands. This is part of an ESTCP project. And today I'm going to be talking about the site selection. So this is the sites that were selected for the demonstration and validation project. And so I'm going to go through the methodology that was used and the final sites that were selected. Before I get to that, I'll just recap a little bit. The objective of this project is to make available a forecasting model that can provide the Department of Defense with near-term flood hazard assessments with regards to personnel safety, critical infrastructure, and overall installation readiness. The flood hazards will be assessed, or the flood risk will be assessed at specific locations within a watershed or within the study watersheds, and for a range of infrastructure types. So everything from low water crossings, bridges, range infrastructure, and even things like potable water pumping stations or sanitary treatment plants. And finally, the hope is that this project and this model can improve decision-making capabilities that will allow for improved soldier safety, lower the cost due to infrastructure failure or the need for on-site warning, flood warning systems, and overall increase the installation's resiliency and maintain mission readiness. So the down selection. So how did we go about selecting the 3 demonstration sites for this project? Well, we looked at a lot of different factors. And so, for example, we needed installations, military installations in areas that are considered to be flash flood hotspots. And you can see a representation of that and the citation for that on the upper left-hand corner. We also needed installations that had demonstratable infrastructure. So installations with low water crossings, for example, or range infrastructure that was at risk or due to flash flood events, or that had damage due to flash flood events in the past. We also needed installations that had high quality data and also a lot of gauge data, so precipitation gauges and stream gauges, for example. So those installations that fell within watersheds that are that have long-term gauge data from the USGS, for example, were prime targets. And then here you can see the we took all of the data that I just mentioned plus a little bit more. And we looked at all of the major installations within the United States. There's more than 100, and we narrowed that down to, I should say, a top 10 list or a top 12 list, and then ranked them based on all of the criteria that is shown here. Again, that's long-term gauge data for rainfall or for stream gauge data. What we call demonstrational concerns. So these would be infrastructure, such as low water crossings or pump houses, for example, that we could actually incorporate into this project. Again, areas that were prone to flash flooding, and so on and so forth. And then these all got ranked. And so the top 3 installations based on this ranking were Fort Hood, Texas, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and Fort Carson, Colorado. Our alternate site was the 4th, in case we couldn't use one of these. The first 3, Fort Benning, Georgia, was kind of our, you could say, our alternate location. So these are the locations that we chose: Fort Hood, Texas, Fort Carson, Colorado, and Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And you can see here the watershed, the demonstration watershed that we are using for this project at each installation. So for Fort Hood, it is Cowhouse Creek. At Fort Carson, it is Little Fountain Creek, and then its tributary, which is Rock Creek. And then at Fort Leonard Wood, there is the Rubidoux Creek watershed, and then the Big Piney River watershed. So we've completed our preliminary site visits. These site visits were conducted in 2019. basically just to get an idea of what kinds of infrastructure, what the infrastructure condition was like, get an idea of what kinds of infrastructure was there, get an idea of what kinds of survey data would need to be collected on the ground, and determine and select the actual infrastructure that we were going to incorporate into this project. So those trips were completed in 2019. And then in 2020 and actually the first part of 2021, we've completed our site work at our field work at all of these installations. So here's just some pictures of the survey data that we've taken and some of the field work pictures we took at Fort Hood, and this would be January of 2020. We also completed site work during 2020 at both Fort Carson and Fort Leonard Wood. And here's just some examples of the infrastructure there that we documented with survey and that will be incorporated into this project. So please stay tuned for additional updates. We will be providing we will be providing videos detailing some of the hydrology and hydraulics modules that are part of this project, and more information about the atmospheric module, the forecast data, and then the final results as we go. So thank you.